We want to talk about the future of the European Union, and it's in the context of disruptive transitions. And basically, I think the European Union's heading in the wrong direction, and that's a bit of a problem. It had noble origins that we have to recognize, but now it's heading in the direction of what I would regard as unsustainable political integration. Of course, by the way, I should say that the European Union is not Europe. There are significant European countries that are not members of the European Union. I think of Switzerland, I think of Norway, I think of Turkey, and of course in a year's time, the United Kingdom as well. So the European Union is not Europe. And in any case, there are at the moment 28 European countries that have strong bilateral relations with India, for example. And the trade delegations that you see coming to India from Belgium, from Germany, from the United Kingdom are a demonstration of those strong bilateral relationships. So there's no such thing as an EU economy. There are 28 economies in the European Union. I mentioned the noble origins of the European Union. Of course, we all look back with admiration on that. The idea, of course, was basically to stop Germany and France going to war with one another, and then to improve the prosperity of the European people through mobility of labor and removal of barriers to trade. And I think that aim basically was achieved 30 years ago, and what a pity it didn't stop there while going on to embrace the newly liberated countries of Eastern Europe. But unfortunately, the European Union became involved more and more in areas of policy which were beyond its original remit, and became what I would regard as an elite-driven project, ignoring the concerns of citizens. More and more areas of national sovereignty have been eroded. And in some of the earlier discussions today, we talked about nationalism and we talked about sovereignty. And I wonder why people think that nationalism and sovereignty are good for India, but they're not good for our countries in Europe. Brexit has been a consequence of this erosion of sovereignty. And paradoxically, of course, Brexit also means that this drive to political integration will be intensified, because it's regarded that the United Kingdom, of course, had something of a brake on the ambitions to move in that direction. And now that that brake is being removed, then we will see an accelerated drive in that way. It all assumes, of course, some sort of European demos as opposed to national demos. In fact, I would say that most people across Europe view the European Union purely on a transactional basis. Yes, ease of movement, but also in financial terms. And bear in mind that of the 28 member states of the European Union, only 9 of them are net contributors to the European Union budget. Paramount amongst them, of course, is Germany, and second to Germany is the United Kingdom. So when the UK leaves, there is going to be a big hole in the EU budget. And I think as we see countries moving from the status of net recipient to net contributor, then you'll find that their attitudes to the European Union evolve as well. And there's another internal contradiction of the European Union, I think, and that is that as it pushes integration, it becomes less democratic. It becomes increasingly intolerant of dissent about its policies, about what I would call the EU orthodoxy, and in many countries, we are seeing a growing Euroscepticism. Not, by the way, just the hooligan skinhead element, which is the way many would like to characterize those that are opposed to EU policies. In many ways, Denmark has long been quite exceptional in the EU. Now we're seeing what are called the Visegrad countries are becoming increasingly disenchanted with the European Union. I'm talking there about the Czech Republic, I'm talking about Hungary, Slovakia, and Poland. Even in Germany, you've seen 92 MPs elected to the AfD party, which is really a Eurosceptic party, but also, of course, an anti-immigrant party. Immigration, of course, has been a main catalyst to Euroscepticism. Not, by the way, I would say, through any sense of racism, but a desire by our citizens to control their own borders. A desire which I think you would have here in India and in most other Asian countries as well. And I'm particularly concerned at efforts now to create autonomous defense structures in the European Union, duplicating NATO and designed to give strategic autonomy. Essentially, that means from the United States, whereas I feel that the aim should be solidarity among the democracies, not creating separate structures of this nature. On the subject of Brexit, well, the British people decided to leave, and there are various motives about why they voted in the way that they did. Some would say it was purely sovereignty issues. It was concern about the mother of parliaments having so many of its powers and laws being made elsewhere now. But for many people, I think control of our borders was the paramount issue. I, by the way, voted Remain, but purely for transactional basis. Like many of those that voted Remain, what certainly wasn't done out of any affection for the European Union or the way it is evolving. So I don't see that the European Union is actually moving in the right direction there. However, the United Kingdom wants a very strong and close partnership with the European Union in the future.
Mr.
And
Van
I think
Orden,
anything less
we'll have to
would be extremely harmful both for the United Kingdom and for the European Union.
I'm afraid I'll have to leave your opening remarks there for now. We can
you.
continue the conversation.
Well, in conclusion, I would say that when
Three words.
when Brexit takes place, the United Kingdom will again take on its global role and become, I think, a firm ally and partner of India.